Yeah. That's what my big fear is. If it's gonna conflict with the other. Yeah. To get gas. 1410. That's what I can carry here apparently. Oh. Okay.
Life, Liberty, and Levin. 8 p.m. Saturday, 8 p.m. Sunday. Saturday we have Ben Dominich and Stephen Miller. Sunday we have Victor Davis Hanson, followed by Newt Gingrich. It doesn't get better, smarter, more intriguing than that. And of course me. Don't forget, you can set your DVR. I encourage you to do it. Everybody do it anyway. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel. We salute our truckers, the freedom fighters. We salute our brothers and sisters in Ukraine and the people of Israel. We have your back, even though Biden does not. Good night, Sprite and Griffey. Good night, Pepsi and Smokey. Good night, Zelda and Gigi. Good night, Indy and Patton, Rory.
Damn.
Good night, Barney and Marty. Good night, Dad and Mom and Leo and Joe and the rest of the family. God bless each and every one of you. I'll see you tomorrow.
Ah, winter, with its cold, dry air causing that not-so-nice winter nose feeling. Thankfully, you don't have to wait for warmer weather to clear sinus congestion and send winter nose packing. All you need is Navage Nasal Care. Navage helps soothe the inflamed nasal passages that are often part of colds and infections. It flushes a pure, refreshing saline.
50 then. 1350.
But Navage works quickly, helping you breathe more clearly in just 30 seconds. No decongestants required. Navage is a drug-free solution that helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. Get Navage today and make winter a little more bearable. Navage is available online at Navage.com or in stores at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, and Target. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
What's holding you back from learning the language you've always wanted to know?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons take just 15 minutes a day.
15 minutes isn't long.
Nope, and they're fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make it fun and engaging. You don't realize you're learning a language, but you are. And Babbel's lessons are built around real life. You can choose from topics like travel, business, relationships, and more. You'll learn what matters most to you. Plus, Babbel's lessons are designed to get you speaking right away. In 3 weeks, you're able to start having conversations.
Just 3 weeks? Even better.
Since Babbel's lessons are designed by language experts and voiced by real native speakers, you'll get the accents just right and be able to carry on conversations with confidence.
Learning a language with Babbel doesn't take long.
And with Babbel, it isn't hard.
It's perfect.
And now, try Babbel free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Year Up is a one-year intensive training program that provides urban young adults with a unique combination of technical and professional skills, college credits, and more. Learn more at yearup.org.
Talk Radio 560 KSFO San Francisco, KSAN HD2 San Mateo, a Cumulus media station.
It didn't happen. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The Pentagon denying reports from Palestinian officials that U.S. airdrops into Gaza killed civilians.
Press reports that U.S. airdrops resulted in civilian casualties on the ground are false, as we've confirmed that all of our aid bundles landed safely on the ground.
Pentagon spokesman General Pat Ryder, who said 1,000 U.S. troops will head to the Middle East to build a port in Gaza to help aid get to the region more quickly. Multiple people are dead after a federalized National Guard helicopter with 3 members of the National Guard and 1 Border Patrol agent went down in the Rio Grande Valley this afternoon. With just hours to go before a partial government shutdown, the Senate has passed a $460 billion package of bills that will keep key federal agencies running. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer announced the deal this afternoon.
It helps parents and veterans and firefighters and farmers and school cafeterias and more.
The package passed the House last week, and now it heads to President Biden for his signature. A key piece of President Biden's immigration policy has been upheld by a federal judge in Texas.
The judge dismissing a challenge from several Republican-led states to a humanitarian parole program. It allows up to a combined 30,000 asylum seekers from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela to enter the U.S. each month. Each must apply online, arrive by air, and have a financial sponsor. If approved, they can stay in the U.S. for 2 years and get a work permit. More than 350,000 migrants have used the program so far. Texas and 20 other states argue the program is forcing them to spend millions on health care, education, and public safety for the migrants. An appeal of the ruling is likely.
Fox's Jack Callahan. The Republican National Committee has voted to install Michael Whatley as chairman and former President Trump's daughter-in-law Lara Trump as its co-chair. America is listening to Fox News.
After 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation promised to make sure that we never forget, and since then they have been supporting American heroes and their families. Heroes like U.S. Army Specialist Michael Hook. He was killed in Iraq, and Hook left behind a pregnant fiancée who gave birth to a son that he would never meet. Tunnel to Towers stepped up. They paid off the mortgage on their home. Donate $11 a month. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org. The letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
Over $6 billion in tax refunds were flagged by the IRS for possible identity theft in 2023. If you're in a bind this tax season, LifeLock can help. Their U.S.-based restoration specialists are dedicated to helping solve identity theft issues, and all plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package. Which means if you lose money because of identity theft, LifeLock will reimburse you the limits of your plan. Go to LifeLock.com and save up to 25% your first year with promo code
KSFO traffic from the Chilton Auto Body Desk.
We have a backup in the Los Altos Hills. It's a crash off the roadway with the car facing the wrong way. It is northbound 280 before El Monte Road. Emergency crews on scene blocking the right lane. You are backed up from Magdalena Avenue for about 10 minutes. Pleasanton eastbound 580, slow from San Ramon Road all the way to Santa Rita.
This report is sponsored by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, they're making things even easier. They'll help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. That's Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Talk Radio 560 KSFO. Like us on Facebook at 560 KSFO and stay up to date on the latest events. Talk Radio 560 KSFO.
The following ad is paid for by Protect Prop 13, a project of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, by the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Foundation, and by the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the staff or management of Cumulus Media.
To listen up. It's the Howard Jarvis Radio Show with John Capal and Susan Shelley on 560 KSFO and 790 KABC.
Welcome to the Howard Jarvis Radio Show. My name is Susan Shelley. I am the Vice President of Communications for the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, the most influential taxpayer advocacy group in California, working for you in the courts, in the legislature, on the ballot, everywhere. Thanks for being with us today. We are live in Southern California on 790 KABC, live in Northern California on 560 KSFO, taking your call at 1-800-222-5222. We are in the business of protecting you from tax increases. So we've just been through an election. I bet you have some thoughts about some of those local tax increases you've seen on your ballot. We have a lot to tell you about all of that. It's my pleasure to introduce John Kupal, the president of HJTA, who does so much great work. He's an attorney. He runs the legal department with our Director of Legal Affairs, Laura Dougherty. And I have to tell you, we're lucky to have him. John, how are you tonight?
Pretty good, Susan. How are you?
I'm doing fine. We want to talk a little bit about HJTA's mission for taxpayers. Now, there's actually a mission statement, because we're an official nonprofit and you have to have a mission statement, and we do. What is our mission statement?
Yeah, because it took some time with our inaugural show last Friday, and we got a lot of positive feedback, and really appreciate all of our listeners, all of our members
all the people who have supported us, who have supported Prop 13 over the years. But a lot of people called, said, hey, heard on the radio, sounds like you guys do a lot of good things, but really, what is it that you're all about? What is the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association all about? And one of the things that we neglected to set forth last week was what our actual mission statement is, and I think a lot of listeners are going to like it. It is the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association is dedicated to the protection of Proposition 13 and the advancement of taxpayer rights, including the right to limited taxation, the right to vote on tax increases, and the right of economical, equitable, and efficient use of taxpayer dollars. So that is what we do in a nutshell. And a lot of people know that we oppose any attacks on Prop 13 and we advocate for limited taxation. But that last part about the right to economical and equitable and efficient use of taxpayer dollars is very important as well. And that is why you see us getting involved in some of these waste, fraud, and abuse issues. For example, the high-speed rail project, and also the EDD fraud that we could talk for hours about. But for now, I think those of you who know of us, you like our mission statement, and we do a lot. Susan just mentioned we have a full litigation capability. We have a full-time lobbyist, and we do a lot. We try to advance taxpayer rights in all the available forms. So that's what we do, Susan.
We absolutely do. A lot of people make the mistake of saying this is an anti-tax organization, but that's not true. We just think you should get value for your money and your taxes are high enough. So when you're already paying for something, because you've already been taxed for the fire department and the police department and the 911 service over and over again, and you've already been taxed to borrow money for the schools and get the asbestos out of the walls for 27 years straight. They've been trying to charge you to take asbestos. Why is there still asbestos in the wall? Somebody should be in prison by now for that. When you're paying all that money and your ballot comes to you and here's another list of tax increases, what's going on with that? Now, if you have a very short memory, you might think, well, I guess they need the money, I guess it's fine. But if you voted in the last 2 or 3 elections and you remember already being taxed for this, and you look at your property tax bill, and sure enough, your memory is correct, there it is, well, it's pretty upsetting. And who fights for you on something like that? Because it's not your representatives, they're the ones who did it to you. They're the ones who are putting these things on the ballot and trying to talk you into passing them. We are here to make sure that they are giving you straight information, that they're not spending your tax dollars campaigning, which sometimes happens, not legal, and we stand up for you on that. We stand up for you to make sure that you are informed about these things, and most importantly, there are specific requirements that were passed in Prop 13 in 1978 for voter approval of tax increases, and we fight to make sure that those are upheld. And it has been quite a challenge lately. Tell us a little bit about how some of these court decisions are messing with the right to vote on taxes.
Well, certainly, in the first major court decision that weakened a significant protection under Proposition 13 is the infamous Upland case. That case from the California Supreme Court implied that the 2/3 vote requirement for local special taxes would not apply to any local tax that was placed on the ballot by some special interest group via the initiative process. And we saw immediately how local governments began to exploit that particular loophole and collude with the special interests to propose special taxes without a 2/3 vote.
So just to be clear, if the city council puts it on the ballot and it's a special tax, it needs a 2/3 vote. But what this decision said is if it's an initiative, like for instance, if the teachers union goes out and they collect signatures to give themselves a pay raise with a tax increase, that only needs a simple majority, 50% plus 1 instead of 2/3. That's kind of what the court said.
Yeah, kind of. They implied that. They never came out and ruled on it, but all the lower courts of appeal have exploited that. And what's interesting is, yes, they'll collude with some special interest groups, but many times it is the local government officials themselves that lead the so-called citizens initiative process. So there's very little daylight between legislative body and the so-called advocates for the initiative. And of all the cases that came out against us, one case is hung up in San Diego because we allege that it was just too much collusion, too much connection between the legislative leaders and the forces that put this on the ballot. So the Court of Appeal said, look, we're going to kick this down to the trial court for some factual discovery to find out if there was just too much collusion. So, you know, they could have avoided this altogether and simply complied with existing law, which was the law for 40 years under Proposition 13, and some cases that even said no matter how a local special tax got on the ballot, it would require a 2/3 vote. Again, the Upland cases and its progeny turned 40 years of Prop 13 law on its head, which is one of the reasons we have proposed the Taxpayer Protection and Government Accountability Act.
Absolutely. You are listening to the Howard Jarvis Radio Show with John Kupal, President of HJTA, and me, Susan Shelley, Vice President of Communications. Thanks for being with us. We're at 1-800-222-5222. 1-800-222-5222. So the Taxpayer Protection Act closes that upland loophole. People have been calling me from around the state and saying, I've got this thing on my ballot, it's a tax for the such and such special purpose, and they're telling me it only needs 50% plus one vote, and why doesn't it need 2/3? And we're going through the ballot together, and we're saying, okay, they're saying it's a citizens initiative. So that's this upland loophole, which the Supreme Court just used kind of vague language suggesting that maybe the Constitution doesn't apply to citizen initiative tax increase. But obviously, the people who are standing there collecting signatures for a tax increase have an interest in it. These are not regular citizens who pay taxes. These are people who are paid by tax money and they want more of it. And we saw one in Los Angeles measure ULA, which was a citizens initiative tax increase for a special purpose.
Yeah, that was a very, very big tax. It was a real estate transfer tax on large valued properties. They characterized it as a mansion tax, but it was way beyond mansions. It applied to virtually any commercial property that met that threshold. So this is one of the reasons why it's not millionaires, but it's business groups are reeling under the decision on the passage of the ULA case. And in fact, many of the real estate interests and homeowners in Los Angeles, that's one of the big reasons they're supporting the Taxpayer Protection Act, because if TPA passes, that tax, it won't immediately disappear, but it would have to be placed on the ballot again, ratified, but this time it would have to be ratified by the requisite or existing 2/3 vote, and we don't think it will pass by a 2/3 vote. In fact, we're virtually certain of it. So this is why the Taxpayer Protection Act has a lot of the government interests very, very upset. What's very interesting, Susan, is this. When the Upland decision first came out, one of our main adversaries on this issue is the League of California Cities. And they are now claiming that the Taxpayer Protection Act will result in the end of Western civilization. I mean, this is the same thing they said about Proposition 13, and it all was a pack of lies. But what's interesting is right after the Upland decision, in fact, they said so in a couple of briefs. They said, no, this does not have an impact on the vote threshold for special taxes. It had to do with something else, some other requirements, Proposition 218 and some other laws. But as soon as they figured out they could exploit the language, they went, it's the Emily Littella. Never mind, we're going to change our minds, change our position. But this is one of the things that we've reminded the courts in some litigation that we'll talk about in a moment. We reminded the court that, hey, the League of Cities, who now claims that the Taxpayer Protection Act is a horrible, horrible thing, said early on that this would not impact the vote.
Message received. Do you want to hear it?
Exactly. Now, one of the most manipulative ones we saw was right at the beginning. This was in 2018 in San Francisco. This was the tax on leases of commercial properties to fund early education. So that's special tax, and it should have required a 2/3 vote. But trying to see the limits, to push the
Message
envelope of
received.
that upland
Do you
loophole
want
that
to
the
hear
Supreme
it?
Court sort of sketched out. San Francisco, one of the supervisors, decided he could be a citizen